Welcome back to Fuqua Sports. We're recapping the first round of playoff games in our College Football Super League simulation, and if these games weren't on YouTube, you wouldn't believe what you're about to see. But first, if you're new, we're using our college mod on Access Football 2024 with updated rosters and playbooks, and here's how the playoffs work. 24 teams made the playoffs with the 8 division winners getting the first round byes. They received 1 through 8 based on their position in the college football playoff rankings. The remaining 16 teams received at-large bids based on the order that they finished in the rankings, with the top 8 teams getting to host the bottom 8 teams for the first round of the playoffs. And as we get past the first 2 rounds of on-campus games and into the quarterfinals, the New Year's 6 Bowls will host the rest of the games. So let me remind you of the final college football playoff rankings. Penn State was the only undefeated team with Ohio State, Oregon, Clemson, Iowa, Alabama, and Texas, and Boise State also getting first round byes. And then towards the bottom of the rankings, LSU survived despite a regular season ending loss to Kentucky. That was thanks to Nebraska losing to Iowa and the committee picking the Tigers over a second group of 5 team in Liberty. Here's the current playoff bracket, and without further ado, let's run down the scores from the 8 first round games this past week. We started first round play with 10-win Virginia Tech against an Oklahoma State team that defeated their rivals in the Bedlam game by 30, preventing the Sooners from winning the division title in the regular season finale. Virginia Tech led for most of the game, but the game got interesting in the fourth quarter with several lead changes, but the Hokies were able to hold on for the win thanks to a game-winning touchdown with 16 seconds left. The Cowboys dominated the time of possession battle and the teams were similar in yardage, but a disastrous extra point attempt in the second quarter might have changed the dynamic of this game. Next, Kansas State hosted Oklahoma, which saw the Wildcats run away with game in the second half. DJ Giddens had 238 yards on the ground and Edwards added 153, and they both had 70-yard touchdown runs in the third quarter, completely destroying Oklahoma mentally. The Wildcats played a complete game today. They dominated time of possession, won the turnover battle, and over doubled the amount of Oklahoma's total yards. The NC State-Missouri finish ended similarly to the Virginia Tech-Oklahoma State game. It ended in a shootout late in the fourth quarter that saw NC State escape Columbia with a walk-off field goal win. The Wolfpack were down 20 points in the second half, but they came back to upset Missouri. But if you thought that was a notable upset, you haven't even seen anything yet. Tennessee beat Ole Miss in an SEC clash. The Volunteers dominated the time of possession battle and piled up 2 touchdowns in the final 2 minutes to get past Ole Miss. It was a rather back-and-forth game for about 55 minutes of the game with some unusual scoring as well. Tennessee was just able to outlast the Rebels and run away with this one. Arizona beat Florida State 44-31. The Wildcats led comfortably the entire game, and every time it seemed the Seminoles would get close to take the lead, Arizona was able to respond each and every time. Florida State was on the receiving end of a pair of major upsets in the college football season in real life, and they bowed out in the first round of the playoffs in our simulation, despite 511 yards in the air. And here's where the upsets really get crazy. Starting off, we have the worst-seeded LSU Tigers. They came into Athens and defeated the Georgia Bulldogs. The Tigers shut down Georgia's run attack, and when Georgia had the ball for about 2 minutes left for a game-winning score, LSU forced a strip sack that sealed Georgia's fate. Georgia had a rough go of things in their simulations in this channel. They lost to the worst-seeded teams in back-to-back years in their March Madness-style tournaments, and in the Super League, they lost their first game of the season to Mississippi State about a month ago, and never seemed to fully recover. In the penultimate game of the week, Michigan lost to Iowa State in a strange game that saw neither team make it to the end zone. Michigan's defense had a strong showing with 10 sacks, but the offense didn't play their part and they coughed up the ball in the red zone. That might have been the difference in this one. Finally, in the week's main event, 2 bitter rivals USC and Notre Dame faced off. The Fighting Irish raced out to a 27-0 lead and coasted from there. The 3 takeaways and several red zone stops were enough to completely shut down the Trojans. USC was driving early in the second quarter with hopes of making it a 1-score game, but Moss fumbled the ball and Notre Dame ran it all the way back to the house. And that was actually the winning score of the game as USC never eclipsed 10 points. So with that, we saw 7 of the 8 teams in the road coming away with victories, and some major brands go down such as Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, and USC. And here's the updated bracket. All of these teams who just pulled upsets will have their hands full again as the 8 division winners are now in play. And looking at the bottom right side of the screen, there's a blockbuster matchup between Alabama and Notre Dame. That will be our main event of the second round. Switching over to this graphic, there's lots of intriguing matchups, which should be tons of fun as always. Which one of these underdogs will keep their momentum and pull another upset? Will any of these division winners have any rust, having not played for a couple of weeks? Or will they pick up right where they left off? Only time will tell, and I'll catch you in the next week.